Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Calling All Heroes Comics podcast. I'm
Tim.
Gary.
Walls.
George, and you might hear a siren outside. We picked the perfect time to kick this podcast off. We're coming from Calling All
We're on
Heroes.
fire, baby.
Yeah, we are.
Coming from Calling All Heroes Comics podcast. Calling All Heroes Comics at 50 Stately Street, Wally Ford, West Virginia. And Tim's back.
I am.
We're glad to have him back.
I'm excited
here.
to be here.
It's good stuff, yeah. So Tim has rejoined us. We have some questions today from Twitter, and that's
Walls?
I guess where we're going to start.
You got them pulled up there?
Yes, I do. I like the first one. The first one. How many comics are you each reading a month?
Wow. That's a good question.
Well, what titles are you reading each month, I guess?
Yeah.
We all go like 7, 6, 5, 3.
You know, before I opened a comic store, I wasn't reading any. So for about 5 or 6 years, but you know, it's obviously easier because I don't have to buy a copy of everything I'm reading. But I probably 20, I guess. Paper Girls is at the top of my list. You guys might not have known that.
It is your favorite.
Kind of the genesis of the comic books.
It's
a
a
little off
prog
the
rock
beat,
comic
little
book.
yeah, a little off the beaten path, and not everybody likes it. But the people that do think it's the greatest thing ever. That Darth Vader. I'm reading that. The new Spectacular Spider-Man book. Amazing Spider-Man now.
I agree with you. That Spectacular is pretty good.
Yeah, I read that Sherlock Frankenstein by Jeff Lemire. I thought that was cool. Let's see. Oh, Old Man Logan is like a must-read. I don't want to steal them all, though. I could name
Well, that's
a bunch
all
more.
4 of us on that one.
Yeah, we're all down with that.
Yeah.
I would say I'll probably buy and read between 15 to 20 books a month, and that's on a rotating basis because some stuff's, just a limited series, just like that Corbin series. It's over now. It's over now. But, I'm with George on the Old Man Logan, definitely, and the Spidey. But it's crazy, like, the amount of DC versus Marvel that I get now. I don't get hardly any Marvel at all. It just has to be a certain thing. Like, I still get Hulk. I did start picking up on Hulk again. They're totally awesome. Just because I wanted to see where that whole storyline that they're working on now is kind of working out. So
Yeah.
some independent stuff. Kramer's got me in on some other things I've picked up on. Some different artists. I don't want to segue into one of the next questions, but I follow a lot of artists around. So
Sure.
but
That's been my whole life of comics, really.
and I do. Chip's gonna smack me around for this one, but I do get Superman
The chips.
from DC because I like Gleason. I like Gleason's art and I like his writing, and I think he's doing a good job on it right now. But when Gleason leaves, I'll probably leave because it's like really. I mean, how many times can you tell a story about Superman saving Lois Lane? Come on.
Apparently, for
lot.
70 years so far.
A lot. So
You and I tend to follow artists, though.
yeah.
That's I
So
know I do.
that's jumping into that, but I do follow certain people around, and I love Old Man Logan right now, and I'm seriously probably going to take a good look at that Old Man Hawkeye. I think that looks pretty cool. Never bought a Hawkeye book ever, based on why should I, but I'll give it a try, and if I don't like it after the first issue, guess what? I won't buy the rest of them.
And he was cool in that Old Man Logan. Like, I got the trade after the original issues came out. He was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
To be honest with you, I'm surprised it's taken this long
Yeah.
for it to come back around.
So how about you there, Skippy?
Probably 8 to 10 titles. And a long time ago, I quit being a completist. So not only do I follow artists, but I'll go through previews, and thank goodness for the internet. You can see people's art. You can go. They'll give like a 2-page preview, and I'm like, this looks interesting enough. And then you go to the person's website, and you're like, I like this art. I would love to see what he's going to do here.
Right.
So I'm really coming in and getting out, whether it be artists, characters, or whatever. Other than the Hulk that I've done for 40 years, I'm following whatever looks interesting. Just sometimes, obviously, if Eric Powell, everything he puts out, I don't buy. It depends on what he's doing.
Okay.
Whether he's writing or whether he's editing or publishing, doesn't mean I'm going to get it, and I haven't. So I'll just check each book, the whole previews, each book, each artist, and get turned on to new things all the time. And whenever it comes down to, like Old Man Logan, probably when Deodato stops, we'll check out the next issue, and if it ain't there, I'm out. Yeah. And that's the way I've been for a long time.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that, because you're always kind of looking for the next different thing, something new, something you haven't seen before, I mean, by definition of that, you're probably regularly reading things that are new. Has any of that, do you think, influenced your work over the last 5 years?
Everything does.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that there'd be a difference in your work had you not been doing that? Had you just stuck to Hulk and let's just say said washed your hands of the rest of it, just went with Hulk for the last 5 years as opposed to all the other little things?
Well, I think Paraphrenic has been influenced heavily by the '80s alternative. Daniel Clowes, Kaz, Richard Sala, a lot of those, and then the underground from Robert Crumb to Spain Rodriguez and all those. I think that's more influenced by that than anything. And I tend to read books that are a little bit more offbeat now, as opposed to going with the big super crossovers, because I just don't have any interest in it anymore. Right. As you said, you went to the well too many times. And
how many times can you do that?
Yeah.
People are dying and they shouldn't be dying. And as I've always said, don't kill anybody. If you do, they got to stay dead. It's just that simple.
Yeah. Well,
and it never happens. So you just move on.
Question about the Eric Powell thing you were talking about. You don't buy all of his stuff. Did you get the disappointingly 3D issue?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Man, I was so let down by that. I was
absolutely.
like, really? I mean, I even dug out the glasses and looked at it, but I was like, I have a pair. Doesn't everybody?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just like, what is going on? I just like.
Yeah, he's one of those artists and stuff where you turn the page sometimes and you're like, wow. I mean, just absolutely wow.
Right,
stunning.
Right, yeah.
And that looked like it took him 5 minutes to draw the whole.
That's very disappointing.
Ouch.
I mean, I like the rest of the storyline and everything.
Well, the one right before it, I think, where he was strapped with the other guy on top of that whatever creature and stuff.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, spectacular. That was one about the bear.
Right.
Yeah, that was spectacular.
Walls, what about you, buddy?
I probably, honestly, I think read the least amount of titles per month. I've always been a back issue guy, an old-timey collector. But, I do read titles. Of course, Spawn, I say it enough. Yeah. I really enjoy it and look forward to that book. I'm obviously really pleased with the Venom stuff. I like Bagley doing Venom. I like the character. I've always liked the character. And that seems to be going in the right direction. So I do that. I'm hanging on to Doctor Strange. I loved it. I loved Bacala's work on it. And I love the storyline, too. Right? The initial phase of the 20 books of Doctor Strange was really interesting. It was very well done. Very, very nice story. And I'll see how that goes because I'm not really kicked off about the art team right now.
It's funny you said that mostly back issues, and I think that kind of goes to the character too of our podcast in general. I think there's a million out there that are going to sit there and just painstakingly review every new book that came out this week, and that's fine. Some people want to do that, but I think we tend to be more of the back issue stuff and then taking that experience and putting it on some of the select stuff that we like.
Right. Probably my favorite love though is the Monsters Unleashed series. I don't know how long it's going to last because I've actually looked at the print runs and things on that. I mean, the number one actually when it came out was like the sixth highest sold book from the original series, the 5-part series before it went on to its new freestanding series. But I really like that because it just throws back to all those old monsters, which has always been my first wheelhouse and my original wheelhouse, and I loved that. I appreciated that whole 5-issue series, and I like the new series because I really like Bunn's writing. Everything that I've seen to me that he's been on, I really like what he does, and it's been really cool. And of course, when the last page in the book is Fin Fang Foom. Yeah, there you have it.
That's your jam.
I'll move on to the next issue.
Your jam, yeah.
I don't know if it'll last forever, but I've really enjoyed it because it has been well written and it's been well drawn. There's been a couple different artists on it, and they haven't been disappointing. There's some splash pages in the most recent issue. I'm like, God, it's really, like 2-page spreads that are really cool looking. So I'm pleased.
Well, I think when you're a completist, as I was referring to, it becomes laborious. You stop having fun.
It's more of a job than a hobby.
Right. It's like, I got to get them all. I got to get them all. And then you go through the good and the bad, but there's more. When there's more bad than good, and you just feel. I mean, I have that sensation when I pick up a comic book and I look through it, and I'm like, it's either on the plus side or on the negative side. If it's on the negative side, it goes back on the shelf.
It's like the Coliseum. You're just standing there waiting to go.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And that's what comic books are. There's too many books out there. You need to enjoy the ones that you.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
It's fun finding. it's hard for me to find something that I'm not familiar with, but it does happen. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you don't realize how much is out there, and there's probably some underground things or some weird offshoots that I missed. But it's really fun for me to dig through an old box and maybe find an old memory, or go, oh, I never picked that up. Let me look at that, and you come to find out. And my tastes have changed a little bit over the years. There are certain artists that I truly love, and we've discussed them at length on this podcast. But I've really softened on certain things in different artists too. I go back to them like, I didn't really care for this guy's work, and I'll see something and go, I wonder why. It's one or the other. Sometimes I go, now this is why I never bought this book or cared for that much. But sometimes I'll see something going, wow, I can't believe that. Maybe I've just changed a little bit. I really like that, and which is fun because it'll give me an opportunity to dig up other older books. Maybe by that particular artist or writer or whatever, and and redo that or reflect back on that.
Well, it's the cool thing about it, and not that this is an original thought to me, I'm sure a lot of people thought it, but what else is there that you can be into, like on a hobby that came out every month, that you can go back, like the very idea of being able to flip through there, it's one of those hobbies where you don't necessarily have to buy anything to get the best part of that hobby. Like you said, you're looking for a memory. Yeah. You slide that book out and you see it, you might not even need to own it, but you got your money's worth when you saw it.
I might look at it and smile, open it up and look at it, and I look, depending upon condition, price, whatever, I might say, what, I really need to add that.
Yeah.
Or it was just really cool to take a gander back and look at that.
Yeah.
Hey, is the Marvel value stamp in there?
And because, once every single month, it's not like, I went and saw this, I saw this movie, for example, or this or that. It's like, you see that and it's instant, and that book came out 12 times that year when you were 14 or 20 or whatever, and that's really, really cool thing.
That's just like looking through, like, that stack of stuff you got in had, like Turok and Magnus and all those old Dell comics and stuff like that. It's like, they got the bait, they got the painted cover on there, and it's like, man, that is a cool cover. And it might look like the dog read it, but it's like, that's really cool. That'd be neat just to hang up on the wall, because you're obviously not going to read it for its content, because it looks like,
It looks like the same guy drew all those books, but those painted covers are killer.
Yeah,
no matter what condition.
Yeah, even like Ripley's Believe It or Not, that kind of stuff is. It's like, man, that's a
those
cool
covers
cover.
are all really neat.
And that's like
Karloff.
that's like that's like
Twilight Zone, Outer Limits.
That's like a childhood thing for me, because like my Uncle Mike had like a big stack of books from the early '60s, and they were a lot of Dell. I don't know. Hyman must have had like the Dell Market cornered for comics, because it's
the
like
Dell outlet.
This Dell
outlet.
Hyman is synonymous for Dell comics.
The hotspot.
Yeah. Dell, little Lulu.
The Dell outlet. When you roll into Hyman, there's a sign that says "Home of the Dell Outlet."
Not anyway connected with the Dell Fest.
Yeah.
Somebody's
curator.
Yeah.
Somebody spray paints Turok rules. On
Exactly. Magnus or go home. But
An act of defiance.
I love those books, man. I love them, and he still has them. Every once in a while, I'll get them out. And of course, a couple of them may or may not have the Tim Least graffiti in them.
I used to compare those to the old 50s, the 50s sci-fi posters. It's like, that poster's awesome, and you go see the movie and it's crap. The difference is when you left the movie, you didn't get to keep the poster.
It's crap. Crap.
With his cover, Dana Carvey, right? But no, it's Mike Myers.
Yeah.
It's crap. But when you leave the theater, you don't get to keep the poster. But with a comic, the cover was worth the money. Like even if you got the comic and it was crappy, which it most
Go out
of
and
the time
find
was.
these Dell comics. I'm telling you.
Well, I'm the odd
Guarantee
man out
they
here.
came from Hyman.
Because you speak of movies. Movies, the superhero, doesn't matter who puts them out, to me, are not a requirement for a comic book reader.
Sure, I agree.
But a lot of people think that way. And, as you were talking
You
about...
didn't go see the movie?
Yeah, you guys joke about it all the time, but I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything when I don't go see a Marvel movie or a DC movie.
I got the movie in my head when I'm reading the book.
I'm good. Yeah, these things right here behind us, that's my movie.
Oh, I agree with that. I think that it came to me, and I would have assumed even more so for you guys than me, but I just remember thinking, like, when I was a kid and they didn't have any of that stuff out, it was more like, man, like, I almost owe it to go see this because I've wanted to see it my whole life, and you guys had a longer period of not getting to see that stuff.
It was a drought for many years.
It wasn't so much that it's trying to replace it or it's required viewing just as much as, man, okay, I couldn't wait, now it's here.
When Iron Man came out, I walked out of the theater and went, this could be the beginning of a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
That's all. I walked out with a smile going, because it was so well done, too. Like, wow, wow, this could be really cool. And it looked, and it happened.
Nailed it.
That all said, I'm not planning on going up to see Justice League because it looks like a 2-hour headache video game to me. And I know that's I haven't seen it. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying that's where I'm at. There's nothing about any of the trailers that pique my interest at all.
Well, I guess that's what I'm trying to say is for me, the movies are not a requirement for me at all. Like I said, if you guys talk about the new Thor you just said just came out.
Yeah,
it's spectacular. I will go see it. But if I didn't, it's not like if I miss a comic book or an issue and stuff, I'm freaking.
Right.
If I miss a movie, it's like I'll see it eventually.
See when it comes out on the DVD.
Right.
Yeah, I'll see it. But it's not a must-have situation for me to see a movie.
No, I understand.
And yeah,
Could buy it on the eBay.
On the interweb.
Yeah. Just look on the Book of Faces. Somebody may be talking about
Picking it up
The
on
book.
I'll be watching it on the interweb. I can't say that without having a list. We're going to catch that on the interweb. It's going to be awesome.
I like it.
Walls, we got another question there, sir?
Yes, sir. As my phone shuts off.
Well, I want to touch on something you guys talked about last week. I did.
Okay.
I did comment on it on the book, but you're talking about when everybody, all the big heavy hitters went to Image.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, and you kind of said that Marvel was kind of left in a lurch and they didn't have any Image-like work at the time. But I think Bagley, he like you say, aped.
Yeah.
He McFarlane.
I think they probably asked him to do
Yeah, he
that.
McFarlane Spidey up pretty good,
Yes.
with the web and all that stuff,
Yeah.
drawing the trademark webs. I think Bagley hung on to that for a good run for a while.
I think he was closer to Eric Larson than he was to McFarlane. Because he's a much cleaner, more cartoony artist.
Right. But I'm saying the McFarlane started with the webs and all that stuff. With
And
the
Larson
highly
wasn't that
detailed-
much of a departure from McFarlane. I mean, if you look at those issues, and I go back and look at them from time to time, they're you can see
it's a fine line.
They're all three are different,
It's
but
a fine line.
it just sort of coasts along though. I mean,
But as
It was
for
like
the rest of the
McFarlane
Marvel,
Light.
yeah,
Is what I.
McFarlane
It was
2.0.
McFarlane
Yeah.
Light. And I know now after all the talk before this, I hate/love to go to a Genesis reference, but it's like McFarlane's Genesis and Eric Larson's Mike and the Mechanics. It's Genesis Light.
Oh yeah,
it's a step down, but it's still cool.
Well, I'm just surprised because Image was very successful.
Yeah.
All their artists were successful at Marvel. Then they go into Image, highly successful. I'm just surprised Marvel didn't step in and say, "Hey, somebody
need
needs
some
to-
guys like
somebody-
this."
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody needs to draw like this," and they didn't.
Right.
Well, do you think Stephen
They didn't
Platt
at
doing
all.
Moon Knight? How long was it after McFarlane and those guys left?
It wasn't long.
no.
Because his stuff, I thought it was
but
McFarlane the first time I saw
guess
it.
where he went for after that brief stint. Poof, he went they went.
Yeah, where is
you're
he
more
now?
like you're more like us. Come over. I mean, because and I'll be honest with you, the Prophet was somewhat disappointing. There were a couple issues that were pretty cool. I thought he had real promise. You could see it was rough, and I think everybody liked it. I mean, when you saw it, it was like, oh, that's really cool. Travis Charest was similar to that too. But I don't know what happened. Those guys just sort of
I think
see anything.
that what might have happened there was that Marvel's probably a very disciplined and controlled environment where if you're an artist like Stephen Platt, for example, he does Moon Knight, there are other writers and editors and people above him that, for better or worse, are making some decisions on that to package it the best way they can. And when you get over to Image, sure, McFarlane, those guys, and Eric Larson and Valentino, those guys had a lot of experience. But when you get a younger guy over there that maybe doesn't have a lot of experience in the business but is a great artist, then he's left to also get to write his stuff and decide, the final take on it. It becomes very one-dimensional.
Well, I guess
think that happened a lot.
I would like to hear from Marvel. Maybe they just decided, the hell with these guys. Yeah. We're not going to draw anything like them. Because Marvel still had the writers.
We're going to still keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Which, that's call for what it is. Image did not have the writers.
Yeah.
No,
they had a lot
didn't.
of artists. A lot of those books don't read well.
No, they don't.
They were accused of being pin-up books, and in the beginning, and everything was, and if you look at all the characters and stuff, they're all rip-offs of X-Men.
Yeah, pretty near.
I like Dale Keown,
was
but
it
man,
Bloodstrike or
that
some of
first
those?
issue, I remember being pissed off whenever I read it. It took 10
Is that
seconds
what it
to
was?
read that book.
Yeah. Not only, and you waited for it because Keown was hot.
I was listening to him when you were talking.
Sorry.
We threw
was
a pit disappointment.
Was it Fraga doing Bloodstrike or something?
Yeah, Bloodstrike.
all those characters were just. It was the X-Men.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's just call for what it is.
Well, and I'd said it
there
before.
was a Wolverine
Liefeld
character,
pitched.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I said it before. Liefeld pitched a 12-issue treatment for Captain America, and when Marvel turned it down, he just turned around and called it whatever, Captain USA or something. I mean, I read it in Wizard. He said, we just took the exact same plot and just laid it over to this character. It's like, how original is your character if you can do that?
Yeah.
But, what are you going to do?
Yep.
Hit me.
Hit me.
Oh, I was going to say, just when they asked something about the movies there, I was going to say, if Steve Martin's in a movie, I go see it. I don't care what it is. It doesn't matter what the genre is. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go see what he's in.
Here's an interesting question.
All right.
With Christmas around the corner, Thanksgiving, is there any more movies you're looking forward to? Probably off the comic talk a bit, but still a question. Is there? Well, I mean, Thor's coming. I mean, I would consider this now the holiday season.
It's after it's after Halloween, so
Yeah.
everybody's got their Christmas. That Christmas stuff was out like a month ago. So unfortunately, hey, look out!
I was taking it, when I read that, I was thinking more like tradition myself. Like, my first thought was, well, Steve Martin, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Okay.
Thanksgiving, that has to happen.
Right?
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, if that maybe I just interpreted it that way. Maybe
Christmas
It
Eve
says looking forward to, but I mean, I get what you're saying too, because I think down those lines.
Obviously, Christmas vacation. If you're going to go there, I'm gonna, shitter's full. So I got to have it. So. You're welcome, America.
That's the catchphrase.
I can't help it.
Gotta have it.
No longer PG. The shitter is full. I love
Will you stop? Come on, you didn't want to say it. Look out!
Whoa! What time is it?
That's
a warning.
That's a little
from
ticker tape buzzer that tells me you guys are about to cut the viewership in half.
What's that? The 8-second warning?
Yeah,
Is
the
that what
producer's
Stern
going to
used
come
have?
out here and go like this. Hey,
We're sorry,
stop.
Jim. We apologize.
Take it back.
Take 2. What? Question kind of went down there.
I used to try to watch the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer show. Man, I can't get through that at all.
I watch The Nightmare Before Christmas probably every time.
Yeah, I watch that.
I have a lot of the little ornaments we put up on our mantelpiece and stuff like
We
that.
decorate the tree to the original Grinch.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, every year.
Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, the HBO cut. That
We're
has
not birds, we're a jug band.
That's it. I had a picture in December. I usually make my default picture on social media, Chuck. Like when he's coming out of the music store. I had a friend of mine, Monica Swinney, sent me a message, said, "Hey George, did you get a haircut?" Nice. But yeah, man, the HBO cut of that, they put the Muppets in. Like Kermit was in it in the beginning and end, but you can't get that copy unless you have like the original HBO VHS. And no, that's my jam.
Right.
It's a cool little show. It's neat.
I just like the original Grinch because of Karloff.
Oh, when he's
Chuck Jones,
when his fingers are he's these little fingers.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's perfect.
Mine's Charlie Brown.
Yeah,
Always. Thanksgiving or Christmas, both of them. Love the music, love everything.
Yeah.
I watch The Christmas Carol every year too. The 1951 Alistar Sim.
I watched It's a Wonderful Life too because she's a peach. I love that one.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah. For God's sakes, just kiss her.
Yeah.
Youth, it's wasted on the young.
I'm getting Tim a shirt this Christmas, and on the front it's going to say she's a peach, and on the back it's going to say Shitter's full. That's going to be that's his gift
for the win. For the win.
Girl. On through the mailbag.
Yes. Keeper of the question. Hey, they like the black and white. I do too, actually. I like great work with the
very
video
detailed.
podcast.
Makes everything pop.
You know what's funny is I just stuck it on there because it was Halloween weekend, and I thought, oh, we'll make it kind of scary and this and that, and a bunch of people told me they liked it.
We're scary in real life too, so
we're just going to go with that. Yeah,
just going to throw that out.
Yeah,
there.
we'll do a special color edition sometime.
Here's
if you're lucky.
This way you don't see the various mustard and barbecue stains all over my shirt from whatever fast food garbage I ate on the way here.
Here's a question. Any thoughts on the abomination that was the Inhuman series?
I guess we know their thoughts.
I bailed.
Did
after
anyone
the
here
second.
read it? I looked. I think I might have looked at the first issue.
Are we talking about the TV show?
TV show.
Yeah, I think they're talking about the TV show.
I think they're talking about the TV show.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Well, yeah. I
Your
bought,
voice just cracked in tragedy.
I bought the first two, and that is the worst.
Yeah, I made it to the
$2.99 twice. That's the worst $5.98 I've ever spelt.
Wow!
I even got it in high def. What an idiot! I'm like, oh, you're so stupid, Gary. Yeah.
Oh
Crap.
man,
crap. Yeah,
I
carrots.
watched. I watched
Throw up.
the first two.
I saw the first one and I was like, man, this is bad, but
Painful.
like this misplaced allegiance to anything Fantastic Four related and Inhumans. And I tried to watch the second one and I fell asleep. And then when the third one came on, I started watching. I was like, this is awful.
It was on last night.
What-
And I just clicked, went by it.
What's disappointing is they're great characters. And as I've said before, and we've talked about, they came out in the time when FF was the flagship comic book. I don't care what anyone says. Kirby sent it that whole run in, all the interesting characters that were released at that time, and they were part of that. That's my disappointment is that's what you come up with. People are going to the Inhumans are I guess going to be looked upon maybe as like some kind of a joke. I'm like, but they were so cool and so original. They were a neat team. It was really a neat time in comic books. That storyline, was very compelling. Yeah. And now, people that aren't aware of that or haven't seen that,
I think here's what happened. Deadpool, Luke Cage, a lot of these things, The Preacher, a lot of these that are not household names. Like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. This could have been, again, something for the Inhumans. Mm-hmm. It's like, man, I never knew. And, they've been around for 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, who are these guys?
Could have been the next Guardians, yeah.
Right. Yeah, the Guardians is probably the best example. How successful they can be from bringing people out of the hat. And it's like, and then you have this. It's like, well, those aren't, then people are going to be like, those characters aren't very cool. Right. That's how bad the TV show is.
Well, I guess they can't all be home runs, but it would have been nice.
But the thing is
just
so far, they've all been home runs. That's the thing is Jessica Jones and Daredevil and Luke Cage is as good as anything I've seen from any of it. Like since it started with Iron Man.
Defenders left me waiting for the next season. It turned out to be a really cool series.
Iron Fist wasn't that great, but I mean it was a masterpiece if it's set aside the Inhumans.
Oh yeah.
The Shield, I wasn't a huge fan of that show, but there are people that are, and it's still it's successful. But yeah, the Inhumans. I often wondered if they just maybe it had been animated, not full cartoon, but like Sin City is. And that Polar Express. What if you had a Fantastic Four Inhumans movie where it was like that? It's obviously not real, but it just lended itself to being more of that cosmic kind of stuff. But
George, you could throw about any idea out there you want because it would be better. I mean, I consider you, a smart cookie, and your ideas and things are great. You could throw anything out there would be better than what they threw out.
It was
anything.
It was just hugely disappointing because I think we wanted it to be good.
Oh, I did.
And then the other thing that happened was they just from a retailer point of view, they shuttled out 2 or 3 different Inhumans regular series and mini series to bank off that, like they did with Deadpool and like they did with Doctor Strange. And then the show hit, and I had 5 or 6 people that were reserving it, and only one of them kept the reservation.
Yeah, I dropped off on that.
Yeah, a lot of people did, and it just becomes a thing where for a month or two I'm sitting on a stack of books that nobody wants, and justifiably so, because those weren't that great either.
Yeah.
Well, here's the question: do you think there are characters out there that are permanently going to reside in the sidekick or second tier characters? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That they should never be headlined. In other words, the Inhumans are, they're on purpose in the comic books or in the backgrounds. They're not trying to come out and save the world.
Right.
They never have been.
Right.
They're not supposed to be fighting crime.
Right.
In Hell's Kitchen.
It was in conjunction with other superheroes.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
No, yeah.
So sometimes when you try to force that upon them, it's like I always joke about the miniseries of the Joker back in the 90s. It's like, how can you have a comic book based upon the Joker? Maybe like a 1 or 2 issues, a story.
That Azarello story.
But how can you have an ongoing thing of a guy who just kills everybody?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, remember that it was Azarello that did that book where it was the guy, and I want to say his name was Snow or Frost, but he was the driver for the Joker, and he was sent to pick him up from Arkham, and it was his account of 24 hours of the Joker.
Yeah, that was.
That's cool.
It was epic.
Now that's cool.
But it couldn't continue for years. I mean, it's
not an ongoing. It's not. You don't need a cliffhanger. In the next issue, he kills this many people.
Anytime you start to really go in and reveal too much about the villain, you're taking away the essence of what makes him cool. Like that's one of a million reasons why those Star Wars prequels suck so bad. I don't need to know what Darth Vader looked like when he was a kid. I don't need to see him as a whiny teenager. Like you've robbed us of his mystique. But
wasn't that?
Yeah.
The Inhumans?
Yeah.
That's probably the worst logo I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Followed by some of the worst art I've seen in recent memory on a major title.
That Luke Cage Iron Fist.
Oh, that was the worst. Had a Fat Albert kind of a flavor.
I said Ghost Rider. Tim went, there you go.
Yeah, glad
I'm all for innovation, guys, and like I said, that I like underground and alternative artists, but sometimes that's just not.
Yeah.
Birdcage material.
Oh my goodness.
Birdcage material.
That's what it is.
Yeah, we're usually not. I'm usually not too tough
I went
on
there.
things, but wow.
Birdcage material.
Hey, you missed me? I'm back now. America.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to refrain from that. Save it for the end.
Why?
Yeah.
Can we do it again?
Sure.
Yeah. That's what we're waiting on.
Wolf's digging up our other question.
Well, you know what?
He got this thrust upon him today, out of nowhere.
It's all you, man.
Like,
no-
damn it, Walls, you're leaving us hanging.
No pressure. Come on.
Don't.
Here, well, we were sort of touching on this, though. Thor got a great grade on Rotten Tomatoes. How much stock do you put in Rotten Tomatoes or reviews, I guess? Like that?
I'd like to just see it myself and make my own judgment.
Depends,
You?
I guess. Well, I think it would depend on. That's a kind of a vague way of putting that question. I would immediately take it as, if I see a good grade, does that mean that I'm more likely to go see the movie or less likely to see the movie? I think that Rotten Tomatoes is awesome because they give you two grades. One is from all the critics that have reviewed it on a scale of 1 to 100, and then one is from everybody that has seen the movie and voted.
Like fans. Sort
Yeah.
of.
So you're seeing an audience score and a critic score. Perfect example of that was Step Brothers. The critics gave it 30%, and the people that saw it gave it like 85. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going with it. Chances are it's lowbrow humor. The critics have to say it's dumb, but everybody really liked it. With Thor, I think it was 98% on the critics and 97% on the fans.
Yowza.
It'd be really hard to go there. I guess I can say I've never gone and seen a movie that Rotten Tomatoes said was amazing, and that I left there saying, "Well, that's terrible. How's everybody wrong?" Like,
Right.
they're usually pretty spot on.
Yeah.
So
I'm always leery of that because if something's supposed to be 97, 98%, everybody loves it, then I'm like, I gotta love it.
you feel the eternal pressure.
Yeah. I'm coming. Seriously.
Dude, that's so you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're saying you're taking a couple Xanax to go to the movies.
So you're basically
can
like,
sit out.
you're like,
I
you know
like
what?
it.
I don't need this pressure. F it. I'm not even going to see it. That's great.
You're going. I'm taking you.
Well, hey, it's funny because I was in here the other day with Sam.
treat?
Well, I'm sorry, it wasn't even Sam. It was Justin. Justin came into the store and we were sitting here talking about Rotten Tomatoes because he's like, "When are you going to see the Justice League movie?" I was like, "No, I'm not seeing it." He's like,
You
"Why?" I
can't
was like,
make me.
It looks like a 2-hour headache. It reminds me of that first Transformers movie. It all looks fake. It looks like a video game. All the catchphrases in the commercial look terrible. Like there's nothing about it that appealed to me at all. I said my guess is 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. So we're having we're going to do a poll and we're going to give away a $20 gift certificate to whoever guesses the closest. But you got to guess what Rotten Tomatoes is going to give it, and you get 10 percentage points either way.
Wow.
To be
a little
considered.
leeway there.
You know what I think? I think Turd Ferguson's going to win.
I gave it a 50. Justin said he gave it an 85. I'm like, so your guess is between 80 and 90 on that Justice League movie. He's like, yeah. I was like, they've got too much to lose.
Wow.
So.
We'll have to get Chip to weigh in on that because,
Well,
Batman's in it, so Chip's going to go see it.
Not to put you on the spot, but what do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah, and I told him, I said, I don't care if it's critics or the fans. Like, it doesn't matter. My guess is 50%.
I'm going low like you. I'm going to be like, not anything above 60.
Yeah.
That's going to be my
I would say 65 for
Yeah.
the fact of how good Wonder Woman was.
Yeah.
No, you can't deny that.
You can't deny that Wonder Woman was great, but... And Joss Whedon, I guess, came back and he's actually getting a writing credit in this. No matter how clean of a rag you got, you can't polish a turd. And that movie looks rough.
Nice.
I'm sorry.
That's a T-shirt for you, my friend.
I've never heard no matter how clean the rag is. I've always just heard that you can't polish the turd. I like
First time I heard that was...
We need to call this episode the crap issue.
Yeah. The first time I ever heard that was in Christine. Do you remember that when the kid was fixing up Christine, the car?
Oh, yeah.
And the guy standing there goes, look at him. He's in there trying to put on... He's got a broken windshield, but he's putting on new windshield wipers. Face it, kid. You can't polish a turd. All right. Boy, these questions are really taking us on a road.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the road less traveled for that reason.
On purpose.
They'll fake us to
On
take the
purpose.
freeway next time.
And Kramer nods his head in disgust.
Well, we've pretty much covered them all. We didn't really hit the, I don't know, maybe we did touch upon it, the following artist or particular artists and things like that.
Oh,
And,
yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, I definitely follow artists.
Yeah.
Always have. And it's led me to dig up older books. It's neat now that, the resources we didn't have when we were younger, but you can go back and look. I remember when I was collecting stuff on Alex Nino, I'd go and I found the site where it just listed everything, whether he did the cover, the interior work, all the different issues and when they came out and things like that. It makes it, I didn't know he did that. I can go back and see when I'm digging one day if I can find that book.
Yeah. Well, case in point, I just bought that Dead Man compilation, Kelly Jones, going back and picking all those up, getting all that at once. I mean, Kelly Jones, he's
those are beautifully drawn.
He's my jam. He's one of my people I follow.
Me too. I'm with you.
But I'm going looking for Micronauts. Was that like his first?
Yeah,
52.
I think he did a splash. He was coloring or inking. I can't remember, but he did a splash page in the back.
I want to go back and try to pick up some of those because I'm sure they're not like $10 books or anything. It'd be neat to have.
There's not a one in the lot.
Yeah, it'd be neat to have those.
Some of the early ones, like
now they're going to be expensive. Yeah. Everybody's going to go.
Michael Golden did a lot of the covers and did the work on some of the early ones, like the one with the number 7 with Man Thing.
Yeah,
that's Kelly didn't come until like issue 52.
Yeah, I knew it was later on.
But and then when they did the revamp, when they reignited the series, he did the.
He was on there.
He did the illustration on that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm still following Jim Lee, but the new book that's coming out, I saw in previews. Man, that's not like his best stuff. Did you see it?
No.
I don't even remember. It's not even epic enough for me to even remember the title.
Yeah, the Immortal Man.
And that's something. That's something different. Else. It's like a team up book. Like, I mean, how many team up books can he do? Is that his jam or what? I mean, he did X-Men. He did Wildcats. He's I look just like.
I'm not a team guy. Never
I like one like hero, kind of anti-hero, Spawn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, I'm with Walls.
Yeah,
but I do follow artists, and I'm finding new artists, like like that Janin guy that's doing Batman. Mm-hmm. That guy's pretty awesome. I hope he sticks around. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Obviously I'll follow Jeff Darrow. I could if he draw something on a napkin, I'd probably buy it. Yeah.
I remember one time saying that I'm not a team guy, and they're like, "Well, you like Fantastic Four, so that's a family." That's
yeah.
Because they are,
Touché.
and I'm surprised that there haven't been more like I don't want to say copies or ripoffs, but I'm surprised more people haven't gone down that route because it so instantly makes the stakes higher when you're in battle. At the end of the day, the Avengers, for the most part, are a business relationship. And I mean, the X-Men tend to be a little closer to that idea of a family, but I don't know. Can you think of any other books where it had that kind of tie to it the way the FF do?
Well, that's the
Incredibles,
League.
the Disney Incredibles.
Yeah.
I've always said the Justice League never made any sense to me. The Avengers never made any sense to me. Batman and Superman being in the same book doesn't make any sense to me. These people are all superpower, and Batman's riding around on his Batmobile and his Bat bike and his
So you're saying
Bat shark repellent.
Whatever it is and stuff. And these big cosmic beings.
This is when it gets ugly, folks.
Thank you, Mr. Freeze. I have my Bat thermal underwear on.
Oh.
Yeah, the family aspect of the Fantastic Four. That's where it's at.
Yeah,
absolutely. And to answer the question for me is I don't even follow. I follow artists, and I always give them the benefit of the doubt when they're going to work on a new book. Mm-hmm. But maybe they're going to work on the Justice League, and I don't want to read it. Frank Quitely is someone who I follow. He doesn't do many books, and that's probably a good thing. A couple of the guys, Neil Adams, The Biz, Simon Beasley. I don't buy any of their stuff anymore. They've evolved into something that I don't care to see anymore.
Well, they've been repackaging some of Beez's stuff because he doesn't come out with anything new.
Well, the fact is, if he does, I don't buy it where it used to be everything. I have a big section that's just Simon Beasley stuff.
Yeah.
In a box, and now it's like, nah. Just not interested.
I gotta say Corbin for sure, because even though it's not on any kind of Dark Horse, it's not it's not obviously a Marvel or DC book, but for 71 years old, man, that guy is rocking.
He's knocking it out of the park,
and he's still doing stuff, and because I really thought, what's going to happen? And when he started doing those stories with Mike on Hellboy, those little 3 parts and 2 parts, and was doing those, I'm like, wow, I just couldn't believe how nice it looked. And I was like, this is really cool because he's going to be discovered. I mean, he's been around forever.
Yeah, it's about
his
time.
talent is going to be discovered. Yeah. But ever since then, he's put out like his own, like a couple different. Like the last one was an 8-issue series.
Right. He's
put out like 4-part series, 6-part series, whatever. It's really cool though. So some of these younger guys, I'm like, I think were really talented. That are sort of vanished. And I was like, look at Rich, man. I mean, he's an old cat, and he's pumping them out, and they look really good. They don't. Some are. I'm going to say this. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. I worship Bernie Wrightson, but towards the end of his career, like doing things, he really didn't do a whole lot.
Right.
I wasn't a big fan of the Cult. Really, I mean
that was a turning point for me.
Yeah, but. It happens, I think. Sometimes, it just happens. People's skills, I believe, diminish. They just do. I remember when Ditko came back in the 90s and did some stuff like some covers and things like that when there was a little bit of a men's,
it's just his birthday
at Marvel.
the other day.
Yeah. 91? 990? That's cool. That's a story in itself. But his stuff, it was really, I like seeing that it was Steve Ditko doing something. It wasn't really all that great.
Yeah, it wasn't Spidey.
It
wasn't Spidey 31 or anything. Yeah.
No. But, on the other side of that, Rich's stuff, you'd agree with this one, is like top notch.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of another guy. Oh yeah, Neil Adams. His stuff isn't
Oh,
particularly
yeah.
special.
Well,
the new Batman
Deadman.
Deadman #1 came out, and he did, and even the cover, despite its glow in the dark.
Yeah. I
gimmick.
was disappointed. I was
It's
going to
never
pick it
gonna-
up, and I looked at it. And
I set the last one back because I figured between you guys, somebody
I
won
looked
it.
at it and went,
And you
I
know what?
need to own this.
That was my measuring stick. Is
Yeah.
when Walls comes in the store and there's a new Deadman issue, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm going to pass. This isn't worth $4." That tells you it's not good.
Well, I mean, he did the whole 12-issue Batman. Neil Adams did. Mm-hmm. And then again, I know we cut on because of how his prices that he charges. If it was $10, he's a legend. I would gladly say, hey, please sign these books here. That's wonderful. But it's $30, $40, $50. It's like, no, thank
Per
you.
book.
Yeah, but the thing is that he did that Batman, which was something everyone. Well, it would be like Claremont and Byrne coming back and doing X-Men. People would be waiting in a nostalgic way to see what happens. Neil Adams does a Batman book and no one cares.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm reading the Snyder and Capullo stuff, and it's just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful work. And Neil Adams, who put Batman back, on, he's a legend for a reason. Excuse me.
And Deadman.
And just all that stuff. He did the X-Men, classic, the Avengers. I mean, back then he was unbelievable.
Did you guys see? Not to switch over, but did you guys see in January that Kelly Jones said they're going to be putting out that Swamp Thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did
How great
see
is that?
Yeah.
He's doing he's not doing the work, but he's doing a backup story, I guess, in it.
Can't beat that.
But I am sure the work will be by somebody. In fact, I saw the name. I wasn't familiar, but the little clip looked good. I am sure that they will not let that, be subpar. I'm
Right.
sure it's going to be real. I'm sure it's going to be cool. And there is also looking forward to another little subplot story with Kelly Jones doing the work on it.
Right.
And I know he's going to knock that out of the park.
Speaking on that level of those guys, but I know you follow Kyle Holtz, but
Yeah.
have you seen the stuff he's been doing, like with all the DC characters lately?
Unbelievable.
Is that a tease or what?
Unbelievable.
Like the Lobo stuff?
That panel that he showed where his head, you can see his hand drawing it, and it is Harley Quinn and the Joker with their back towards Batman.
Yeah.
I sent him a private message. I said, look, you probably get stuff all the time. That right there, it stopped me in my tracks. It was just
He's good.
unbelievable.
He's really good.
He did some
He's
Hulk
evolved,
stuff.
and he's really
He did
good.
some Hulk stuff a while back,
Yeah.
and it was great then. He did the Man Thing miniseries.
Yep.
It was like a 3-issue
Yeah.
deal.
He's a
he's
hell of a
good.
nice guy too.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
just in the interaction we've had
Yeah,
online
he
and
will
stuff.
he will answer you and talk to you.
Yep.
And
I like his stuff.
I can't say enough good stuff about him. So I hope Marvel and DC get their head out of their behinds and start getting him on just a miniseries. I mean, it doesn't have to be.
It indicates just how hard it is to break into the big two because he said when he was posting those, he said something to the effect of, despite having done literally thousands of pages, I have to do some new pages to kind of reintroduce myself to the new editors at Marvel and DC. It's
Wow.
like, if you're Kyle Holtz and you are still having to come up with fresh stuff at no charge to submit to try to get in the door, I don't know. It speaks to
Well, I mean, it's just the industry, though. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's marching on. You have new people. I remember, record people with record contracts. New A&R guy comes in. Next thing you know, you're yesterday's news.
Right.
You're a big grunge fan and everything. All the '80s hair bands. And
I got my flannel on.
Yeah, they're out the door as soon as this new movement comes through from Seattle.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is with comic books. You have to understand. We come from a monster background, and we love that kind of art. But I understand the people out there, not everyone does.
Yeah. Right.
They like straight, just superhero stuff.
I've come to learn that over the years.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Who
absolutely.
likes that Iron Fist comic? I want to meet that one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can probably look him up. He's the guy that wrote it.
Yeah.
But for as much as I
Probably.
don't like the major crossovers, I understand a lot of people do, and they sell well. And that's cool.
I'll tell you what, I'm real gun shy about those moving forward. In fact, I've told people, it's like, if you want to get into the tie-in, I just need you to give me your word you're following it all the way through, or at least give me a 2 months heads up, because it's a very, very expensive thing to invest in, only to have folks decide. And again, it's totally fine, but if they decide they don't want it, you're stuck. Like, especially, like, Civil War II was the worst one. Because by the time it got around to, like, number 4, nobody wanted it anymore.
They were done with it.
Yep.
And I already ordered through 6. And so now the first 3 issues have sold. So you're sitting on these books with a $5 cover price, and you only have 4, 5, and 6. I mean, that's pretty much guaranteeing who's ever going to buy that, Mm-hmm. So there's that.
Are you getting a lot of hype about the dark Batman stuff going on, like the Dark Universe and all that?
The metal stuff, Dark Knight Metal, all those, I've sold out of all of that every single time. The one I have, like, one copy left up there of each one, and that was just reorders. It's selling crazy. And then they did the Batman White Knight series, and I ordered fairly conservatively, thinking, well, everybody's already kind of invested in this. How far can the Batman train go? And we sold out of that too.
Still going.
I had to pull one back and set it back for Kramer here. I even have a copy. They sold out as soon as they got here.
I think it's pretty cool because I've been reading them. I mean, I don't get every issue.
Yeah.
But, man, some of those covers just, like, off the hook.
And Batman Shadow, which is being put out by DC and I think Dynamic at the same time, I'm still selling a bunch of those. The new one coming out, Batman The Signal, I got a big pre-order on that. It's like, if it's Batman, it's pretty much a guarantee one way or the other, especially when they're number ones. Like, I can pretty much order that, if it's Batman number 1 or a Harley Quinn number 1, it might not all sell out the day it gets here, but it's a sound investment that sooner or later they're all leaving. So,
I wonder if you had a lot of interest in that. I mean, because it's, Wednesdays when I get here, it's like, usually it's the end of the day after work, and I'm like grabbing what I need to get, and I'm gone, but we don't have time to talk about what all's been, like, flying out of here. So,
that Harley Quinn and Ivy versus Betty and Veronica.
Say what?
Harley and
Where'd
Ivy
that come
versus
from?
Betty and Veronica.
Yeah.
That book was another one of those Flintstones-like surprises where everybody came in wanting a copy, and I ended up selling as many of those as I did Batman that when number 1 came out. And I sold a bunch of them, a bunch of the number 2s that came out. The Jetsons, that was another one that came out.
The Harlequin train is still on the track. But
it is.
I don't know, for some reason, I think
feel it's going to derail sooner or later.
Somewhere in the future.
Well, and I would have thought that too, like with Deadpool. But the Deadpool stuff sells rather consistently. And then you guys know about the movie Gotham City Sirens that's coming out. They're doing it's Harley Quinn, Catwoman, and maybe it's Batgirl. I'm not positive, but the 3 of them are starring a movie, and it's the same girl from Suicide Squad. But it's a movie about these 3 women. And I don't know. I think that'll probably rekindle things.
Let's hope every bit of writing for Harley Quinn isn't a cliche line.
Well, I mean, as long as Wallace is still doing the Suicide Squad covers, I'm going to still keep buying that.
Yeah.
Well,
that's following the artist. It's
I bought that. I bought one of those when Bernie died, because it had a nice splash page in the back.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this cover going, is that Willis Patasio?
Yeah.
And I looked, I saw the signature. I'm like, it's got to be him, And I looked at the back in the credits. It's like, sure enough.
If we can just get Jay Lee back to do some crazy stuff, that'd be pretty cool. I mean, I think he's still out there somewhere.
Oh, Jay Lee's, and he was. I remember he was sort of sketchy when he first started. I thought he was like a little loose and liney.
Doing Namor.
I picked up,
Namor. Yeah.
With Namor, I picked up on that, man. That's great.
And I thought, but I liked it. Something about it, I liked it. And as he evolved, he's become quite a good artist. And then all of a sudden, boom, where'd he go?
Yeah, he's actually going to be at Jersey Comic Con in a couple of weeks. There was actually in the back one of the Dynamite books. I think it's in the back of Red Sonja, one of those that I get. There was a thing. Did you see that?
Mm-mm.
It's a Jersey Con. I think it's the 18th and 19th of the weekend. There was a picture of him. That's what brought it up.
Oh,
There's
cool.
a picture of him in the back of it. It's like Jay Lee. I'm like, wow, I can put a face with the name now. 25 years later, you know, he looked like a little kid when we first started buying his stuff. You know, but that'd be kind of cool. I mean, and that's not too far away.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be kind of neat to check that out.
Do a road trip.
Yeah, I like this stuff.
Break out the Namors. Get him to sign those.
Break out the Namors. Said nobody ever.
I still have them.
I know, but how many
break
times?
out the Namors.
Hey, it's time. Let's good times roll. It's time
Wear
to
the
break out
dust
the
off.
Namors.
There was one that was done in like greens and blues, like one cover. It was really cool looking.
Yeah.
It was semi-metallic or something. Yeah, it was just really neat looking. Yeah.
He's done some other stuff like miniseries.
George, I'm
sorry,
these
he's
guys
still
break
has the break out the Namors.
break out the Namors.
A friend I had.
Roll out the Namors.
I remember a friend of mine in college would say, he's like, I knew when I hit my personal limit, like if I drank too much or in any way partook in too much. He said, I always knew where my limit was. Partook. If I partaken. It sounds like
we're not going to let that go.
You partookin' son of a...
We're not going to let that go. That's your new name now.
That's my new shirt.
Is that like a sad bird? The Portucan.
Anyway, he said, I always knew when I hit the point of no return because I'd break out the nunchucks. He's like, that's what I knew I went too far. And that's what I was just thinking.
So I've gone
in
too
the nerd
far.
community, Tim wanted to break out the Namors. He's out of control. We need to cut him off.
It's over. It's over. Poor Toucan.
On that note, huh?
On that note, before we close up today, I wanted to pitch you guys a little bit of a homework idea.
Uh-oh.
Aye.
I've had a bunch of people that have come into the store just since we've started this podcast and said that a lot of times we'll mention comic creators, like whether it's writers, artists, whoever, and sometimes we say the last name, sometimes we'll explain a little more. They're like, it'd be great to give just a little quick synopsis, education, if you will, of some artists or writers. So what I was thinking was if each one of us come up with a creator for next week and just give whatever 2-3 minute rundown of who they are, how they started, what they've done, and why somebody would want to check them out. And I thought if we...
Well, I got an idea. How about something like this, since we are actually on film?
Yeah, absolutely.
Frank Frazetta.
Right there.
Physically bringing it in.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm
How
down.
about that? 3 or 4 books and stuff that we really enjoy, so we can go, boom, there it is.
Absolutely.
That might be an idea. Bring some of the books in because we'll go. Hey, this is who I'm talking about. Look here. Maybe one of their origin works or something that you thought that they did that was really cool.
Or Namors.
Yeah, the Namors.
I
have a long box full of Namors.
I think
they're
you
10
have
for
to
$1.
I don't take those out of the vault, man. I mean, they stay hidden in an undisclosed location at the research. All right,
undisclosed. Yeah, but I think that'd be cool. And if we just throw that out each week, I think that'd be a cool thing. Also, wanted to just tell you guys a big congratulations to you. Next week's our 25th episode, which I thought,
wow,
we kicked this off quite a while ago, and it was just something to kind of do. And
that's what I'm talking about.
We've been building up our fan base. We appreciate everybody that's watching now and listening. And
thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you have anybody too that is a creator that you like us to cover, or if you want to cover them, just send us what you know about them, what you like about them, and what makes them somebody that you are always on the lookout for. And
enlighten us.
We're by far the final authority on these things. Everybody has their opinion.
Next week, we're going to all try to have an Iron Maiden T-shirt on. Wall's got the memo. These guys, slackers.
Yeah, I actually don't own an Iron Maiden T-shirt.
We're going to have to do something about that.
I don't know what.
I'll hold you down.
All right. Well, So yeah. Anyway, next week we're open today from noon to 5. We're open every day except Sunday. It's Calling All Heroes Comics at 50 Stately Street. You can also check us out at facebook.com/Calling All Heroes Comics. If you get a chance, message us. Let us know what your tomato meter reading is going to be for the Justice League. And then next week on the episode, we'll give away a $20 gift certificate to the store to whoever was the closest. Because I believe the movie comes out on the 17th or 18th of November. So
Yeah, it's about the middle.
Yeah, just a couple weeks. So, but we should have some early reviews by then. So
Sweet.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at, and we will talk to all of you next week. I'm George.
Tim.
Gary.
And Walls.
And take it easy, guys. We'll see you next week.
Hero.